Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, guys. It is Finance Fridays. We are live at 5 p.m. EST. Today's conversation, we're talking about business, how to manage your business finances today. Today we have a special guest on our live who is one of my friends. He runs and owns a marketing company. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of managing your business finances today and kind of just have a conversation about what that looks like, right? What are we talking about today, and what are some of the things that we're doing right now in quarter 4 to prepare our business for the upcoming year. And I think it's super, super, super great to have you guys join us. Let's go ahead and bring our guest on. Okay, I thought I pressed it. Okay, I did. Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good too. Just really, really busy, but I'm doing good.
That's awesome. Awesome. Let's give everyone a second to jump on. I'm excited to have you on here today, and I'm excited to talk. It's been a while. We conversated a little bit the other day, but I'm excited to really just have this conversation with you today. If I can get my phone to pop up correctly.
Yeah,
I think it's got one of these
yeah, I'm
stands.
excited too. Thank you for, having a conversation with me. I know you're really, really busy. Got a lot going on. Tax season is coming up very, very soon. So, definitely excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, well, first introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you do, your company, um, and then we'll start from there.
So I am Ryan McCrary. Those that don't.
Did we lose him? Hey, Ryan, did we lose you? Okay, I think you're going to need to get off and then come back on. I don't know how to take him off. Oh,
There
there
we
we
go. Oh,
go.
what happened?
I don't know what happened either. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I am Ryan McCrary, also known as the Funnel Doctor. You know me from before when I had a separate business doing finance and stuff like that. Most people nowadays have no idea that I had a completely different business and used to do like a lot of different stuff. But now I run a digital marketing agency. We specialize in sales funnels, landing pages, websites, and Facebook and Instagram ads. We've helped, many different clients work with 6 and 7 figure brands. So definitely excited to have this conversation with you. See some of my folks coming on here too.
Nice, nice. I'm excited to have you on here as well. Yes, when I first met you, I believe you were in the financial services industry, and that's how we connected paths. Um, what were you doing in the finance space?
Uh, Basically just information products. So I wrote a book, was definitely selling my book. I had online courses. I was doing some personal coaching and that type of stuff. But, also just giving a lot of information on social media. So like doing Facebook Lives and just information, stuff like that, giving tips, because my professional background is actually in finance. So I worked at a few different financial companies. I had my securities licenses. I was like a stockbroker and working with mutual funds and investments and options and different IRAs and that type of stuff. So originally, I was just trying to teach people about wealth and finance and that type of stuff because growing up, I never learned about that. My family never taught me about it. My friends never talked about it. Even nowadays, most people out here don't really know a lot about financial literacy and wealth building and investments and that type of stuff. So that's what I originally, wanted to do in my business. Then I made a complete pivot and started the actual marketing agency. And I actually like this a lot too.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and we've been talking and discussing about marketing a lot. And let me tell you guys, Ryan really knows what he's doing. As we start to currently build an in-house marketing team, we were always, myself as the CEO of my company, we were always on the fence. Like, do we build an in-house marketing team and keep them in-house and feed them a yearly salary and let them grow with us? Or do we hire a marketing agency and have the agency do everything, set everything up for us and manage it? So we've kind of always gone back and forth. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to each setup. And one thing that I always do is call Ryan now that we are building out our marketing team, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he's been very, very, very insightful, and I appreciate that. How did we meet? When did we meet?
I think it's probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. I think it might have been through like Will Roundtree or one of them or something like that. I think it was, or Jay Morrison or something like that. I think it might have been through one of them people.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So I was wondering that the other day, but for those of you that don't know who I am, maybe part of Ryan's audience, my name is Carmen Mohan, and I am the CEO and founder of a virtual tax and accounting firm located here in New York. We have a retail storefront. And so over the course of my career and building out my business, we started here in 2014. I had purchased a tax franchise. And now as the years have gone by, one thing that I've noticed with being in the accounting industry is, you know, doing taxes is cool. Personal tax preparation is cool too. That is kind of like the foundation of how we built our business. But where I feel like the biggest need is now we're in this entrepreneurship like journey, right? Everyone right now is becoming their own business owner. And so it's a great thing. But a lot of the times with new entrepreneurs or people in the first 5 years of their company, they don't really know what that looks like on the back end of the management side. And there's so much that goes into business development. And every week we talk about managing your business finances. And yes, we need to understand how to manage the business finances, but there's also so many more pieces. And I had saw that Ephraim posted something just not too long ago. And he said, in order to build a strong foundation, there's so many pieces of the puzzle that has to be aligned. Your business development is going to come from all of your pieces being aligned. And that's creating your systems and processes, like everyone says. But what does that really mean?
Right.
It means systems and processes around managing your finances, around your income that you're coming in, around your expense, around your profit margins, around, is it time, when is it time to get business funding? Are you ready for business funding? Are you eligible for business funding? And then if you do get these funds from banks or other sources, what do you do with these funds? How do you create a budget? How do you oversee that budget? And how do you implement this new set of funds that has now been, that now you have access to? And one thing, to go back to my point, what I was saying, noticing in this accounting industry is that there's such a need for business owners to understand what that looks like on the business development side, on the back end of things. And finances is just one piece of it, and it happens to be my favorite piece, right? I love when clients come to us in a mess and they don't know their profit margins, but they're generating revenue. They don't really know what to do. I love to fix that mess and watch them grow. So that is what I passionately do. But I notice even more than that, a lot of us don't know. Everyone says online, build a team, build systems, build processes, but nobody breaks that down. So tell me a little bit about your team. How did you break that down? How did you start creating some systems and processes in your business?
Great question. And it's still a work in progress.
Oh, wait.
Just like for real. And, systems and processes and like all that, honestly, just naturally is not my strength. I can market, I can sell, we can get clients, and like, we can do content and all that type of stuff. But like systems and processes, like I'm still learning, still a learning curve and stuff like that. So we have a good number of team members now. I think I got like probably 8 or so. And we don't have any actual employees yet. Looking to bring on some W-2s soon. But we have contractors, we got, a good number of contractors. I got, a good number of marketers, Facebook ad people, project managers, admins, all that type of stuff. And, it's a work in progress. We're definitely just trying to make it better. Our man Keon says, yeah, definitely need systems and teams at scale. Yeah, definitely. So, but at some point, like, you have to have a team to scale. So that's what I realized, in my financial business, we didn't really make that much revenue. Like, we think we got to maybe 5 figures. So I never got a chance to like bring people on or hire people and stuff like that. But in my agency, once I started making enough money, I realized I can't build every funnel. Like, there's no way we can scale if every single funnel has to come through me. So nowadays, actually, not a lot of people know this, but I don't build no funnels. I'm the funnel guy. I lay out the vision. I tell my team what to do and where everything should go, but I'm not actually building it. We have developers, we got designers, we got all that type of stuff. And I give them clear instructions on how we want it built. I still have the creative eye, but I don't build anything, So once it got to that point, I was like, all right, once I started making like a week, what I used to make a month, I was like, okay, I think I still have enough money now where I can actually hire people. I can get more team members. We can actually grow and scale. And that's been one of the keys to growing and scaling, is having enough people and spending, more money on marketing and advertising so we can get more clients too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you said a key word there. And it was project manager. Like you said, building the systems and process wasn't your strong suit. It wasn't mine either. Where, now we tell our clients, hey, make a business plan, actually, see out this plan, make a quarterly plan. So that's a lot of advice we give. And the reason that I give that advice, me personally, is because I never did that. And we just threw stuff together. And I purchased a franchise. I was 25 years old when I purchased this office that was originally for franchise purposes. And a national brand franchise that for legal purposes I can't name. But I purchased a franchise. So they gave us an outline of how to do things, but we still kind of didn't understand business. I was 25 years old. I was a baby, tens of thousands of dollars trying to just figure it out. And what I noticed is that I also did not have that strength of systems and processes, and hiring an operations manager, or in your case, a project manager, because your clients are more project based, even understanding like, what is my business? Am I a service provider? Am I a product? Am I a physical product? Am I a digital product? And kind of like mapping those things out, because had I known that in the beginning, in the first 2 years, maybe I would have saved myself tens of thousands of dollars and all of these expenses that we would invest in trying to make certain things work, when there really wasn't a process in place, or there really wasn't an expert in place to kind of see us and guide us through. So we learned a lot of things the hard way, or I learned a lot of things the hard way. And so that's why I think I'm able to, with my brain, kind of see things now, 7 years later, and see things in a position where we can assist other business owners. And I think the biggest problem with business owners, and I have a post coming out, I think next week, that my team curated for me. And the post says, it says, entrepreneurs specifically, let's normalize having hundreds of thousands of dollars put up before we have $100,000 plus lifestyle. And I think that newer, smaller business owners, newer entrepreneurs, I'm seeing them make money, and that's amazing. And they're coming on board and they're making money, but they're spending money just as much as they're making. And so I really want to sit them down, like, how profitable are you really? What are you doing this for? If you're doing this to eventually give yourself some type of financial freedom, well, hey, that comes with a plan. That doesn't come with just because your business made $100,000. Now you're going to go live at the Avalon for $4,000 a month and drive a $1,500 a month car. And that doesn't mean that. Like, your company's money is not your money. What you need to do is build a well-oiled machine, take whatever revenue that's coming from that machine, pay your expenses, and reinvest that into your business so that eventually it can pay you a salary. And so a lot of even business owners, they're not set up to even pay themselves a salary. They're not set up. Their business foundation isn't even set up. They contact us, hey, can we get some business funding? We want some lines of credit. We want access to cash. And, they don't even have an LLC. Or they don't have an LLC with, more than 12 months of maturity. Or they don't have any banking relationships with the LLC that they have. They never opened a bank account. And so there's a lot of different gaps of communication where, hey, they just don't know what to do. And I love being part of this conversation, because I think that from myself and my experience and my friends like you, we have so much experience that we kind of want to give them that additional information because they need it. And I want you guys to really, go through everything that you're doing now, especially now in Q4, and fix all the things that you need to fix going into 2022. And a lot of that is going to be being able to be real with yourself with where you are now, your business goals, your revenue goals, where eventually you want to get to, and kind of working your way backwards. And I think that was one of the most, for me, when I really started planning stuff out, that was one of the most life-changing things in my business, because as we started planning things out, we actually had a map for how we were going to get to, $500,000 and then to seven figures, and it's been a journey, not just because we planned it, it's just happened. No, it has definitely been a journey. So I want you guys to really start to consider working with the professionals that are going to help you. When you first get started, you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
You need to understand how your funds are. You need to be legally protected. If you're going to start to bring on employees, you need to know what that budget is going to be for your salary, how much you can afford. If you're going to start paying yourself, you need to know how much you can afford to pay yourself. You're going to need to do all these things to remain compliant. And then, I know everyone wants to expense everything under the sun and not pay any taxes, which we always want to help you guys pay the least amount of tax liability. But at some point, guys, we're going to have to pay taxes. We're going to have to show income. You can't walk into a bank and ask them to give you $100,000 on a $20,000 tax return. They're not going to, and then you can go no docs. You can go on a no doc loan and try to do that. But guess what? Your interest rate is going to be higher. And all of the things that you're doing with all of these deductions that you're trying to write off, it really puts yourself at a deficit because you can't play with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Boys have tax returns that say $500,000 on them. They don't want to pay tax. I'm sure they don't want to pay tax on $500,000, but they could take their return and walk into the bank and get $1 million line of credit and start to take some of that money and reinvest it and move it around. And I think that where business owners now learned the most, where I think that in the year of COVID and all of these loan programs that came out, that's when they really learned the most. Like, you need to get your shit together. And I'm sorry, excuse my French.
Keep it real.
But I think that they learned that because, hey, when your EIDL loan went off of your credit, no one knew it was going to go off of your credit. And guess what? If you have a Verizon collection for $1,000, do you think that SBA or even a bank for a line of credit is going to want to give you $50K? You can't even pay $1,000 cable note. They're not going to give it to you because they're deeming how financially responsible you are by your credit. And then on top of that, by the amount of income that you're actually claiming every year, they're going to deem what you can afford. They are not going off the money that's in your shoebox in your bedroom. They're going off of the amount that you have reported to the IRS and state tax departments, and they're going to go off that amount to see how much you can afford a loan for or how much you can afford a property for. And there's a lot of things that tie into that. So organizing our personal finances and then taking that same organization and moving it into our business finances is something that entrepreneurs, especially us that are first generation entrepreneurs, a lot of us are first generation American, right? Our parents were immigrants and migrated to America. So a lot of us are first generation American. And then to be first generation American already put us behind. But then to be first generation American and then first generation entrepreneur, we don't have this information. So a lot of the entrepreneurs that look like me and you don't know what they're doing. And then they're too prideful to even ask for help too. And I hate that part. I have to, people, they're scared to come to me and tell me they're a mess. I'm like, that's what I'm here
for. Right.
But
that's
yeah.
Information though, definitely. And I'm glad you're doing this work for people. You're doing great work. People definitely need it. Because like you said, just because you make $100,000 in your business, that doesn't mean that's $100,000 that you made. Right. You may be making less than you even made in your job and stuff like that. Right. So
the first year here, we generated $110,000. You know how much I went home with?
How much?
$5,000. Negative. We purchased the franchise. I had a partner. So we went half on everything. We purchased the franchise. We were at the storefront. We got the signage. We got payroll. We got everything up and running. We did like maybe like 300-400 clients that first year. We generated $110,000 that first tax season, and I still went home in negative and still had to go back and hustle for the rest of the year because our business was just seasonal and figure it out. And the first 2 years of my business was like that. It was so flaky, up and down, rocky. And I had to really figure out, okay, how can I build a well-oiled, sustainable machine? Because I was always running numbers from the beginning. I'm an analytics person. You know, operations and getting together Google Docs, and that's not my thing. But like pulling reports, really deep diving into what has happened, right? What happened in the last quarter? What happened in the last 12 months? What happened last year? What is the percentage of this? What is, like, that's what I like to do. And I think that's how I ended up here. But I remember pulling our reports and being like, wow, we made all that money and I'm still negative $5,000.
Yeah.
And we still had to pay rent for the rest of the year. So it was crazy. Yeah, but we lost a lot to the franchise, and the franchise deal went bad. So we ended up losing like $25,000 on just that. It was a bunch of stuff, but I would not change any of it though, because a lot of those losses or failures, what I felt like were at the time, it allowed me to gain the experience and gain the knowledge. And now I see a lot of new tax pros coming onto the scene, and I can already see kind of like what they're doing incorrectly. Like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. No, that's not right either. But I'm excited to kind of more package up my knowledge and really give it out, because I give a lot of free knowledge on my YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. But I really want to make something that is like a take-home book that you can read and go back and restudy and revisit and things like that. So I'm actually in the works with a publisher now, but yeah, I'm super excited. How was your journey with your success and your finances, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I think in general, me having the finance background definitely give me the advantage. You know, so when I first started my business in 2016, like it was hard. Like I'm gonna be real, like it was really hard. I just left my job like cold turkey. I just didn't want to work in corporate no more. I was tired of it. I was like, yo, I'm out. Like I'd rather like literally be homeless than have to deal with this shit, because it was like really stressful at the time. So I just left, you know, but I had, you know, money saved. I had my 401k. I had some investments and stuff that I had to tap into and take the money out of.
Yep.
But when I first got started, like I literally, like you said, we first generation entrepreneurs. So I didn't know anything about business. You know, when I grew up, about making money is like you go get a job or you do something illegal, which I did do back in the day. But so when I first started though, like I knew nothing about business. So I was like, you know, I had a finance company. I knew, you know, what I was passionate about. I knew who we wanted to serve, but it was like, how do we make money? You know, so like I said, for, you know, even when I first met you, you know, I really wasn't making that much money. You know, I knew what I was passionate about. I had a voice. I was trying to get things out there, but we weren't really generating money on a consistent basis. So it was difficult, but I really started just learning, you know, how to make money. I was learning, you know, digital marketing. I was going to conferences. I was hiring coaches. I was getting around people, getting in different circles. So that's really was the main shift, was like getting around people who were already where I'm trying to go. So that's like a big.
At the conference in Atlanta, where did you go to that Atlanta
Which one?
Conference? The first one Will spoke at?
I think I did.
I think
Yeah.
that's where we met. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where. But, you know, that was like a big shift for me. Was just actually trying to learn how to make money and stuff like that. So when I first launched my book in like 2018, that's when I started making like consistent money. And that's when I started learning like funnels and like, oh, you sell it for free, but you upsell them, and then started learning Facebook ads and like, you know, doing like affiliate marketing and like that type of stuff. So that's when I was like, all right, we went from making like no money to like, all right, at least we're making like 3,000-4,000 a month. You know what I mean? At the time, it's like it's something coming in.
Yeah.
But I seen at the time, once I started spending money on marketing and that type of stuff, cost of goods, I looked at my numbers. We're actually losing money. So I was seeing money come in. I'm like, are we getting these strike payments and that type of stuff? But when I started looking at my back end numbers, we were actually losing a lot of money. You know, when I started calculating everything. But I just kept going and just kept putting different stuff out, building relationships. And then I made a decision. I was like, all right, I want to actually do an agency. So for me, and that was like 2, 3 years ago now, making that shift, like that was the biggest shift for me, was actually switching my business model and really getting crystal clear on what I did, a new brand, new logo, funnel doctor, people, it seemed like a household name now. That's what people know me as. But that was like a big shift. But having that business experience prior to that definitely helped me. So even though it was a new venture, and it was like, new avatar, new clients, like a whole new business model, having business experience in what I did before helped a lot. So that's why.
Really key that I don't want to cut you off, but I definitely want to jump in there. And so the part where you said I got really crystal clear, and a lot of entrepreneurs today, they see this internet gurus, right? And it looks like it's so easy to get 6 figures. It's really not. Your first 100,000 is really hard. Even though I just told you I made it my first year, listen, it is the hardest. Making your first 100,000 is the hardest. The only reason it was a little easier for us is because we purchased a franchise, so we already had kind of like a business model / plan. It is the hardest. So I like to keep it all the way real with everyone. It is the hardest. And then getting to 500,000 is the next level of hard. We're talking about extreme difficulty. And then getting to the 7 figures is even harder. And so every level is a new devil. It requires you to pull and push yourself. But I see so many of you guys, new business owners, and now you guys are ready to give up because things aren't working in year 2 or year 3 or year 4. But guess what? We all did that. We were all ready to give up in those years,
Definitely.
But the only difference is that we had tenacity. So instead of actually closing down the company, what we did was go back to the drawing board. And people are afraid to go back to the drawing board because now they're in the 2nd year or 3rd year, or in my case, I went back to the drawing board the 4th year, the 5th year. I'm in year 7, okay? Every year I hit back a drawing board to change a piece, but that's because I'm not afraid to rebrand or revision or re-strategize, because the plan doesn't change. Just maybe how we get to the plan will change. And him really saying he got crystal clear is a big problem that a lot of us have, and we've experienced, but we kind of made it through. We pushed our way through. And getting crystal clear takes doing things wrong for you to really understand what is right for you. What is right for you, what is right for your company, what is right for your team, and what is the right decision to make. And a lot of the times, these decision-making skills we aren't born with, because again, we don't know what's right, what's wrong when we're going through and experiencing and learning. And so him getting crystal clear, him being able to say that and communicate that in a transparent way of saying, hey, I didn't have it all figured out. I changed my business model. And on top of changing my business model, I had to really nitpick down to what are we doing this for? Who are we serving? Who are we trying to serve? And we all have to do that within our lives in general, right? There's so many of us that coast in our lives, and we have problems either professionally or personally or whatever type of issues that we're currently facing. A lot of the time, we don't want to re-strategize how we're doing things, how we're attacking things, how we're showing up in the world, how we're communicating to our peers. A lot of the times changes need to be made, and the best adults and the most successful people that I've come across, they are very adaptable, and they're able to adapt to different circumstances, different environments, and they're able to switch it up and kind of just keep it going. No downtime, no time wasted.
And it's also product market fit. So just seeing, like, putting something out there and like seeing what the market responds to.
Did we lose you again?
Doing the financial business, just being real, like people aren't as excited about learning financial stuff. You know what I mean? Like for business owners, a little bit different. You know, we business owners, so we make money, like, you know, accountants and stuff like that. Like we need accountants, we need that type of stuff. But just in general, if you're saying like, hey, you should actually not spend your money at the mall, or if you do, take some of it and put it into a stock. Generally, you know, people are listening, people are getting more aware now, but generally, like, it's harder to get people to like buy into that. So like I said, just putting something out into the marketplace and, you know, getting people to buy something is like a lot harder in that niche. And I noticed that, you know, when I started doing marketing and funnels and being clear on that and knowing who our avatar is and, you know, what type of business owners we want to go after, it's a huge market for it, you know, so that's something you have to notice as well. And me working with a lot of different businesses, I work with tons of businesses, 6-figure, 7-figure beauty brands, accountants, service providers, and stuff like that. And for new business owners, I think a lot of us get too caught up in, you think it's a good idea, but that doesn't mean people are going to pay for it. Because when you're putting it out there and putting a new product out there, a new service out there, and it's not taking off like you thought, you got to test the market. Like, you got to see how people are going to respond to it. Are people going to buy it or not? Or you can't get bent out of shape if they don't. You got to switch it up. You got to pivot. You got to see what people are already paying for. And if you're putting something out there that there's not already a market for, I think that's a mistake. So that's just another pitfall I see with new business owners too, is they get too caught up on the idea and what they think are going to work. But when they put it out there, like, you got to actually see what people are paying for and what the market responds to.
That's some gems right there. That's true. That's true. A lot of the times business owners will create their business concept off of what they think will sell, like you just said, and not what is their market for. And they'll go around their own schedules and and that's not a real strategy, right? You need to understand who your customer is, like what he said, and how you're going to market to them. And marketing is literally the juice. Like, I don't know who said this, but the marketer with the most money always wins.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
and that's why it is so important to manage your finances, right? Because you do have to. I tell people, my rule of thumb for our clients is whatever your profit is, 20% go back to marketing. And that's because marketing is what's going to bring your business in front of a lot of faces. The more faces that you're in front of, the more chances you have to convert. And I think it's a rule of advertising of thumb, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a consumer needs to see your product 7 times before they actually decide to buy. And so they can't see you 7 times if you are not constantly putting back that dollar into being able to be seen once, maybe a second, maybe a third. And, you know, even some of my friends now, but they may not be entrepreneurs, so they don't know, but they'll say, oh, Carmen, I'm tired of seeing you on Instagram. Oh, every time I go on, I see a video of you. And so they make fun of me, but they don't get it. Yes, I do post 3 times a day. Yes, we want to post a gazillion videos. Yes, even the ones that don't look great, I just be like, put them out there. And that's because I understand what I'm building up to.
And they don't great content, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
For
me and content have a war battle every week.
We can't tell on the outside.
Listen, honey, it has been a struggle, okay? And everyone's been telling me for years, because I came on to social media and started building my brand around 2017. I think we met around that same time. And I was doing amazing. 2017, 2018, I was throwing financial literacy events. I was public speaking. I did 22 speaking engagements in like 14 months or something. It was like crazy. And between my events and guest hosts and all these things, I did all this stuff, right? However, my back-end systems and processes weren't set up. So I was getting in front of all these people and I was building all this audience and I had all this brand awareness. However, I didn't have anything on the back-end set up to really convert them. Not to mention, our business we were profitable at the time. And I actually had 2 storefront locations at the time versus 1 that I have now. But it wasn't set up. It wasn't timed right. and I was dumping a bunch of money into marketing and content creation, but I didn't have a full vision or plan on what was going to happen next. How were we going to funnel doctor them into just being someone that viewed us and watched us to being actually someone that wanted to work with us and convert us, and what that looked like. And so, and building out those pieces, you know what I had to do? Where everyone else was like, don't stop, write a book, do this, do these. I was like, nah. I went completely ghost.
You definitely did.
I went completely ghost. I got all the way off the internet and said, I'm going to figure this stuff out. And I went back to my drawing board. And that year, I saw almost a 100% increase in revenue that 12 months, because I put my head down. I stopped comparing myself to everyone else on social media that were my peers at the time. They literally were my peers. So, and some of the biggest influencers are my peers. I have multi-million-dollar people on my phone that I call for advice. And so, and they'll all co-sign me too. But I didn't need at the time, I didn't need the clout. I needed to figure out how to make content creation something that tied into my business, that made and fueled me, not only passionately, but also fueled my company. And that was a lot of the things that we did wrong in that time. And so I spent all this gazillion dollars, I spent thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars into kind of building it up, and we all did it for nothing because we couldn't really convert them. And now when I came back online, I'm just like, listen, I do not come to play, but I need to go through those failures to kind of figure out how to do it correctly now. And if I had listened to the outside noise, I would have just kept going online, and maybe I would have figured it out as I went. But that whole fake it till you make it thing has never been me. Where I come from, we have OGs and they make their money, they go home, they don't talk about it. They're not a pump fake till you
right.
I do not believe in that. And so when I come back and I say certain things, it's because not only have I known it and experienced it, but I've also touched it. So when we talk about managing hundreds of thousands of dollars or actually getting some figures, like these are things that I've actually touched, done. I can walk into a bank and get $250,000 tomorrow check if I wanted to. These are things I've actually done successfully, and now just want to share back my knowledge with those that are like me, that were lost when I was 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm 32 now. Now you can't fool me. You can't bamboozle me. I know. But yeah, I feel like this turned into a lot of failures and losses and lessons conversation.
Right. Wins and losses, right? But that's great. Like, you're doing great work. And I like what you said about knowing how to convert people, because I have a lot of private conversation with influencers and that type of stuff. Like, oh, I got all these followers, I got likes, I got comments, I got shares, but I don't have my back end. I'm not actually getting customers. I have no email list. I have no list and that type of stuff. So I think that's extremely important. And that really all is what funnels are. You know, be able to attract people and convert them into clients or customers. At the end of the day, we don't own these social media platforms. So as we saw when Facebook and Instagram shut down a couple weeks ago, if your business is only dependent on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever, you in trouble. So I truly believe, you definitely want to, give good content, give good value. But at the end of the day, you want to have a call to action to get people into your world and actually have them become customers. Anytime I do a lot of presentations. I just did one like yesterday talking about social media and ads and stuff like that. And I'm always saying, like, likes do not equate into sales. Followers do not equate into customers. You can turn some into customers. But I use social media, besides like the personal stuff, is to get more customers and get in front of more people. Definitely got to be in front of them, up to 7 times for them to take action. The marketer with the most money, or who can spend the most money to acquire customers, is the one that will win. So yeah, like Keon said, that is Dan Kennedy has said that. But yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. And I just want to commend you for the great work, figuring it out, helping people, with their business finances and that type of stuff, because people need it. Like, people need it. Like, seems like it's getting worse with the Instagram celebrity type stuff and people trying to stunt and, renting cars and private planes and that type of stuff. And nothing wrong with that. But, I like to keep it real. Like, the people that I know with real money, they not out flashing it and all that type of stuff. They don't move that way. People with like real money.
Yeah, they don't. And when you have real money, you don't want people to know that. Like,
right. Thank you. Right.
You don't want to think about walking into somewhere and you have to look around.
Mm.
You know, I live in New York. I don't want to go to the club and have to worry and think about, who's going to follow me home. And I've been followed home.
Mm.
And it was a time, and it was not too far from my office, so I'm pretty sure they recognized who I was. And I've experienced those things where, for safety precaution reasons, like, you don't like. And that's why I never built my brand on, hey, and you'll notice that if you go back to any of my content from the last 4 years, I have never said, hey, I made this amount of money. Come, let me show you how to
Right.
make this.
Yeah,
I
right.
hate that tag marketing line, because it shouldn't be about how much I made. It should be one, how I can help you. And just because I made that amount, and I want you guys that are listening to this, just because I made that amount does not mean that you can make that amount. I the same amount of investment. You can have the same amount of money. You can have the same recipe. You can have the same everything. That does not guarantee that you will make the same amount of revenue that I did with all my tools and with all my resources. Because every person is going to produce different results. And that's why I don't believe in that marketing line, because it's not true. And there's a lot of people that then buy into the line or the gimmick, right? For these purposes, it's a gimmick. And they'll say, hey, this is a scam. It's not a scam. It's the fact that you believed that it's a gimmick that you bought into. You believe that you
Right.
think that someone else has, but that doesn't guarantee results. Like, look at the tax franchises. They give you the business model, but there's still franchises that operate at a 20% profit margin. And then there are franchises that operate at a 40% profit margin, which is really healthy for a retail storefront location.
Right.
So what's the difference? Then there's storefront locations that make 150,000, and there's storefront locations that make 575. What's the difference? The resources, yeah. The strategies, yeah. But the producer, the execution, the team members, the employees, the location, the marketing, there's so many different plays on how things can work out that's never going to guarantee you your results just because something I did. And so that's why I never use it in any of my marketing, because I never really believed it. And you made a really good point when you said people don't know how to convert, because that is the biggest problem. A lot of the times we'll get in front of customers and we don't know even what the difference between marketing and advertising is. Marketing and advertising are two totally different things.
Definitely.
And Ryan, elaborate on that. What's the difference between marketing and advertising?
I would say, and I'm probably not the best to articulate because I know it so much, like it's hard for me to explain it.
Yeah.
But like advertising, like for me, like Facebook and like all that's like advertising, like Facebook, buying media. Could be billboards, it could be TV, could be radio, could be magazines and that type of stuff. So like those are forms of advertising. Like my favorites right now are like Facebook, Instagram ads. Like we spend a good amount of money every month on ads. Them Facebook bills come pretty quick. So I would say like that's like advertising. It's like media buying, or like getting spending money to like get in front of people. And then we talk about like marketing. I would say that's like, when you hit people like via email or like text messages, like SMS, putting different content out like this or something like this. This could be considered content marketing or something like that. So that's kind of how I would kind of, break it down and stuff like that. And I like to be really aggressive with marketing, because I truly believe that if you believe in what you offer, what you sell, your product or service, you have a moral obligation to sell it. I know a lot of people that are business owners, when it comes to selling, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to sell. I don't want to be sleazy, like, all that type of stuff. People will get kind of scared about it. But I truly believe you're not selling anything. If you are a business owner, you are solving a problem. So you solve a major problem for people, which is managing their finances. That's a major problem that people have, making sure the books are good, bookkeeping, accounting, and that type of stuff. So you don't have to necessarily sell anybody on anything. You provide a solution. People come to me like they feel overwhelmed. They don't know how to do this online stuff. They may not be tech people and stuff like that. So I'm not like selling anything. We're actually solving a major problem that people have. So, you know, that's how I feel. But marketing, advertising definitely can be different.
Yes, no, definitely. How I would say is like advertising is yes, paid ads, like what you said. Advertising could also be location, visibility. A lot of advertising is kind of like the old school guerrilla marketing, like the all that. We do a lot of direct mailing campaign here in our community for our retail storefront location, which has actually been one of our top.
That's still works. No more.
It does. It does work. Actually, we did a direct mail campaign, which I don't know if I want to drop these gems, but we did a direct mail campaign last year, and our strategy behind the campaign was to send out fake checks. And it was actually one of the most like profitable campaigns, and it was pretty pricey too. It was like, I think we reached like 13,000 homes, but it was like $8,000. 13,000 homes 2 times though. So we did 2 drops, because back to the 7 times. So we did 2 drops, and each time we did a drop, we had like a wave of like 500 calls coming in a day. Like 400 calls. Like our call center was just like, couldn't stop. And thank God we even had the call center in play, because we had the full thing. Okay, this was going to happen here. Then this was going to happen here. And then right after that, this was going to happen. So we had that full funnel. Like he says, it's not, maybe not be the same funnel because it's not digital marketing, but we had a funnel set up of what would happen next. After someone could, let's say the check did do well, when they actually got that piece of information, if they called us or contact us, how would we convert them? What the person that from the call center that's going to answer the call, what is their script? What do they do? How do they close? Then to the next stage. And so those are all workflows, and that's what a really system and process actually is. It's a workflow that has steps in which you guide your customer from being a lead to actually converting to be a customer. And honestly, that campaign did really well. Like, our call volume was crazy. Like, the week that it went through, our call volume was hundreds of calls per day, where normally we would just be between 100 and 200. During tax season, our phones ring crazy. But our call volume would be normally between 100 to 200. The direct mailer weeks, it was like 300, 375, 425. One day it even got over 5. And it was like, wow. And I saw, because people want money. So when they think that they got a check, everyone's calling, I got this check in the mail. Is this a mistake? I got this check in the mail. Where do I cash it? I got this check in the mail. I got to come to you to cash it. And everyone had questions about this check. So it wasn't the actual direct mailer, but it was the strategy behind it, right? And so all of those pieces, to go back to my point, that is marketing, right? The actual mailing campaign is a form of advertising. But the concept behind how we put it together, the color scheme of the flyer, the thought behind the flyer, what the copyright of the flyer, all of those things is what actually put it together to make sense. So those are marketing tactics that was added into an advertising campaign. Those are 2 very different things. You could have a great advertisement and it looks shitty because you didn't use the right marketing tactics, right? Because you didn't use the right marketing strategy. A piece of advertisement isn't a strategy. It's a form of advertisement. It's a piece of advertisement. But what goes behind it, all the science pieces of the puzzle, that is the actual marketing. And so that is a difference. They're 2 very different things. I see people advertise on billboards, and they may not necessarily even be ready to advertise on billboards, but they think because they get this billboard, they're going to get all these numbers. And guess what? They may not get the numbers because the creative piece may not be right, or the timing on where they put it may not be right, or where they actually pieced it at may not be right. So much of it is a science behind it, and that's why it makes sense to work with experts, and even when developing your business, to invest in a coach and to do business consultations. Speak to as many people as possible that are where you want to be. Don't speak to people that just go online every day, because there's a lot of these people that go online every day and that is their business. They don't actually run businesses. They don't actually run teams. They run content. So I want a lot of you guys to beware of that and really understand and really start investing into yourselves with who and understand who you're working with, right? Social media aside, what have you done outside? Have you generated revenue? Have you hit revenue goals? Do you understand the information, knowledge I need to learn? Have you been there? Experience is the best teacher. So if I fucked up $100,000 10 times, guess what? I might have all the experience in the world for you. You know, and that's gonna be where you're gonna learn the most from. I feel like I went on a little bit of a rant there.
No, good. No, no. Like I said, Frank Mills, like it definitely, and it goes to marketing. Once I really marketing, change like, because you know your left action.
I think you're breaking up. I don't know if that's just for me or for everyone, but you're breaking up on my end.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Now I can.
Okay. I don't know what. Got a few more also. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm really back March. In your left or ahead of call. You know. So that is. Share exactly. But I know what for you. As you broke that. Marketing. It's like you say, advertising. Marketing is. That doesn't mean good. I mean, information's good. So that is. I think. Don't advertise. For sexy.
I heard like half of that. It was like
choppy.
I don't know why. Is that just me, guys, or can you hear him correctly? Can you guys hear him? It might just be me. Anyone that's watching, is he breaking up for you guys too? Yeah, it's breaking up. All right, well, it's about to be 6 anyways, and so let's just, for those of you that are interested, anyone on this live or tuning in, I am giving away a 15-minute free business consultation if you're interested in getting your business finances together and kind of just want to pick my brain really quickly about what you should do if you're interested in working with us here at Straight Tax. My name is Carmen Mohan. You can just go click the link in my bio or send me a DM that you want to have a conversation. It'll be a 15-20-minute conversation free of charge. So any of you are interested in that, reach out to me. And then Ryan, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find all of them. But anybody that's in what we prefer, you just DM me, click any bio, click something to find. You probably start him too. So we're gonna read. But connect me and we can jump on the call.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on here. Today is Finance Fridays, and that is a wrap. Thank you, guys.